The pyramids, solid, mysterious, standing for over 4,000 years. We all know the story, countless workers dragging massive stones under the scorching sun. But what if that story is completely wrong? What if the secret to their construction was something so ingenious, so mind-blowing, it's been hiding in plain sight all this time? Forget everything you think you know. New discoveries are about to rewrite history, and they suggest the ancient Egyptians were even more brilliant than we ever imagined. The answer might not be brute force, but a lost form of ancient chemistry. Let's start with the stones themselves. We're talking about millions of limestone and granite blocks, some weighing up to 80 tons. That's like 12 elephants. The mainstream theory says they were quarried miles away, dragged on sleds over wet sand, and then hauled up enormous ramps. It's a plausible idea, and it definitely requires incredible organization and manpower. But when you look closely, this theory starts to show some cracks. First, the precision. The blocks of the Great Pyramid are fitted together so perfectly that you can't even slide a piece of paper between them. How could they achieve this level of accuracy by just chipping away at massive, multi-ton stones? It seems almost impossible with the bronze tools they had. Modern stonemasons with diamond-tipped saws would struggle to replicate that precision on such a massive scale. And then there's the ramp problem. To get to the top of the Great Pyramid, a single, straight ramp would have to be over a mile long. Where did they get the material for a ramp that huge? And more importantly, where did it go? There's no archaeological evidence of such a colossal structure. Some suggest a spiral ramp that wrapped around the pyramid, but that would have made it incredibly difficult to maneuver the massive blocks around the corners. It just doesn't quite add up. So, if it wasn't just brute force and simple ramps, what was it? This brings us to a radical, yet compelling theory proposed by materials scientists. Workers could have built a smaller, stepped structure and simply passed buckets of this ancient concrete up the line. It's a game changer. When scientists examined samples of pyramid blocks under powerful electron microscopes, they found something astonishing. The microstructure of some blocks didn't look like natural, sedimentary limestone. Natural limestone is made of fossil shells compacted over millions of years. But these samples showed a chaotic, jumbled structure, with air bubbles and even human hairs trapped inside, exactly what you'd expect to find if you were mixing a wet slurry by hand. It looked man-made. One of the most telling signs is the moisture content. Some of the blocks at the top of the pyramid have a higher water content than the ones at the bottom, and higher than any stone from the nearby quarries. This suggests they were cast from a wet mixture and haven't fully dehydrated, even after for millennia. Natural stone wouldn't have this characteristic. So, if they use this advanced concrete, does that mean the entire pyramid is man-made? Probably not. The current thinking is a hybrid approach. The Egyptians likely used traditionally quarried, massive stones for the base and the inner chambers to provide a strong foundation. But for the upper levels, where lifting became increasingly difficult, they switched to this ingenious geopolymer method. It's a perfect example of ancient innovation, using the right tool for the right job. Now, let's talk about another piece of the puzzle: water. We know they use sleds, and that pouring water on the sand in front of the sleds would have made it easier to drag heavy loads. But a recent discovery suggests water played a much bigger role than we ever thought. Archaeologists have uncovered evidence of a lost branch of the Nile River that once flowed right up to the Geyser Plateau. They've also found the remains of an ancient harbor system. This changes everything. It means that instead of dragging stones for miles across the desert, the Egyptians could have floated them on boats from the distant quarries almost directly to the constructee. On site, this ancient waterway, a pyramid highway, would have been a logistical miracle, allowing them to transport not just the massive granite and limestone blocks, but also food, supplies, and workers. They could have constructed a series of canals and basins, using the annual Nile flood to their advantage, creating a bustling port right at the foot of the pyramids. So let's put it all together. A new picture of pyramid construction begins to emerge. It's a sophisticated, multi-stage process. First, they float massive, quarried blocks from distant locations to a harbor at the base of the pyramid via a now vanished arm of the Nile. These form the strong, solid foundation. Then, as the pyramid gets higher and lifting becomes a monumental challenge, they switch tactics. They mix a simple, local recipe of crushed limestone, water, and binders. They carry the slurry up in buckets and pour it into molds, casting the upper blocks in place with incredible precision. No giant ramps, no impossible feats of lifting. Just brilliant, practical ancient engineering and chemistry. This doesn't diminish the achievement of the ancient Egyptians, it enhances it. It shows they weren't just masters of muscle and logistics, but also pioneering materials scientists. They understood chemistry and hydrology in a way we're only just beginning to appreciate. They were innovators who solved an epic engineering challenge with the resources they had around them. But there's one more secret, one that might be the most important of all. It's not about how they moved the stones, but how they aligned the pyramids so perfectly with the cardinal points. The Great Pyramid is aligned to turn north with a degree of accuracy that is astonishing, even by today's standards. How did they do it without a compass, GPS, or modern survey equipment? Theories range from using the movements of the sun to tracking specific stars. But one recent theory suggests they used a simple tool called an Andean circle or an gnomon, basically a stick in the ground. By tracking the shadow of the stick throughout the day, they could trace a perfect east-west line, and from there, calculate a perfect north-south line. It's a method so simple, yet so precise. It's a testament to their genius in astronomy and geometry. The story of the pyramids is still being written. With every new excavation and every scientific test, we get closer to understanding the true scale of this incredible human achievement. It's a story of ingenuity, innovation, and a deep understanding of the natural world. The pyramids aren't just tombs, they're libraries of ancient knowledge, built with a wisdom that continues to astound us thousands of years later. What do you think? Does the geopolymer theory make sense? Could the ancient Egyptians really have invented concrete? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this journey into the past, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you won't miss our next deep dive into history's greatest mysteries.